Good luck to you, sir. I hope you're able to come out of this okay and just lead a lawful life.
Rappers end up in prison or get killed more often than artists in any other genre. It's a painful reality of hip-hop. Let's take a look at who's currently serving time in American prisons and why. Welcome to the Top Art Legends. C Murder, 2002 case.
It's a shame he got his boy blood on a muzzle.
Corey Miller, better known as C Murder, rose to fame in the late 90s and early 2000s as a star on his older brother Master P's No Limit Records. But in 2003, he was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of 16-year-old Steve Thomas. So, what happened? On January 19th, 2002, a young man named Steve Thomas was shot and killed at the Platinum Club in Harvey, Louisiana. Witnesses claimed that an argument broke out between C Murder and Thomas, during which C Murder allegedly pulled out a gun and shot the teenager at point-blank range. Thomas later died in the hospital from his injuries. C Murder was arrested and charged with the murder. In 2003, a jury found him guilty.
Yo, was young, yeah, they got me down here for a second-degree murder, yeah, something I ain't doing when they tripping on me like that because of my name, my status, my character, you feel me? I feel like they've been out to get a nigga, you see what I'm saying? So they trying to get me nuts. This shit corrupt over here, I'm in Jefferson Parish. This shit corrupt as a motherfucker, you feel me? So all I gotta do now is fight to get my way up out of here, you heard me?
In 2009, a new jury also convicted Miller, and he received a mandatory life sentence. From the beginning, C Murder has insisted he's innocent and has been fighting for a new trial ever since, but no one seemed to care. Then, things took a turn. In 2018, two key witnesses who had testified against C Murder recanted their statements. They signed sworn affidavits claiming they had only implicated him under pressure.
I want him to know I'm not upset with him, and I'm proud of him. And me and my family, my daughters, especially, we thank him. For real, I mean, it's a life changer.
C Murder's lawyer, Paul Barker, filed a motion for a new trial, arguing that there were no solid pieces of evidence apart from those two testimonies. However, on January 25, 2019, a judge denied the motion, stating the new evidence wasn't strong enough to overturn the conviction. Absurd, right? It's painfully clear that overturning a conviction in Louisiana is nearly impossible. Still, after over 15 years behind bars, Miller is continuing to fight for his freedom, and he's not alone.
Like my big brother in jail, nigga looked out for me, kept me straight, smartened me up. I was that young wild nigga, straight breaking the rules. I had hate in my heart for the law. He was on some bullshit.
C Murder said his three daughters continue to give him hope as he keeps fighting for a fair retrial. Big Lurch, case from 2002. Antron Singleton, known as Big Lurch, didn't just rap about the typical themes of hip-hop culture. His lyrics often delved into the macabre, referencing serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer and horror movie villains like Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. This made him a prominent figure in a subgenre of hip-hop called horrorcore. But what did his disturbing lyrics ultimately lead to? On April 10, 2002, Singleton was arrested after police found him running naked and covered in blood on the street. Later, in his apartment, they discovered the body of Tynisha, a 21-year-old mother of two and Singleton's roommate. A medical examination revealed that Singleton had human flesh in his stomach that did not belong to him. Tanisha's boyfriend, who discovered her body, stated that he and Singleton had taken the drug PCP the day before the murder. Investigators concluded that Singleton had broken Tynisha's neck and jaw, shattered one of her eye sockets, cut open her chest, and removed her right lung.
I didn't know nothing about that. The next thing I remember is waking up in a room by myself.
Although Singleton pleaded not guilty during his trial, on November 7, 2003, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The court accepted the prosecution's argument that drug use could not excuse his actions or be grounds for insanity. At one point, Singleton explained his motive, claiming that he believed the end of the world was near and that he needed to kill the devil before it happened.
I mean, all I can remember, the world was going to end, and I had to find the devil and kill the devil before the world ended. That's the last thought that I had.
Max B, 2006 case.
Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada.
Charlie Wingate, known as Max B, was convicted in 2009 for conspiracy related to armed robbery, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and felony murder. He, his on and off girlfriend Gina Conway, and his stepbrother Kelvin Leardom had planned to rob two men at a Holiday Inn in New Jersey in September 2006. However, the robbery didn't go as planned. Leardom ended up shooting and killing one of the victims. In 2009, Max B was sentenced to 75 years in prison. But in 2016, he accepted a plea deal and had his sentence reduced to 20 years for aggravated manslaughter. In a phone interview on the Joe Budden podcast, released in December 2024, Max B stated that he's set to be released as early as November 2025.
Coming back soon, Wavy baby coming home real soon.
All right, do we have a date yet?
We got a date. I'll be on November 9th, 2025, baby. We 10 months away.
Okay. Let's go.
This is the first definitive answer y'all got from me, so you already know. Nigga, look it up. It's on the computer. It's in the system. I'm good.
Tay-K, 2016 case. Taymor Trayvon McIntyre, known as Tay-K, launched his rap career at just 14 years old. His breakout hit The Race gained massive attention as it detailed his escape from police right before standing trial, while he was literally on the run for murder. So, what happened? In 2016, Tay-K was part of a group of 7 people who carried out a home invasion targeting 17-year-old Zachary Belote. The plan went wrong, and Ethan Walker, a friend of the homeowner, was fatally shot during the robbery.
A Tarrant County teenager was convicted of murder this morning for his role in a deadly home invasion robbery. 19-year-old Taymor McIntyre goes by the name Tay-K47 in his online rap videos. He was convicted for his role in the shooting death of 21-year-old Ethan Walker in 2006.
Tay-K was placed under house arrest in 2017, but in March of that year, he cut off his ankle monitor and fled. He was captured on June 30th, 2017 in New Jersey. While on the run, in April 2017, Tay-K allegedly shot and killed 23-year-old Mark Anthony Saldivar during a robbery outside a Chick-fil-A in Texas. The following month, in May, he reportedly assaulted and robbed 65-year-old Oni Skip Pepe in Arlington, Texas, holding him at gunpoint until he lost consciousness. A passerby later found and helped the injured man. In July 2019, Tay-K pleaded guilty to aggravated robbery in the Mansfield case. A jury then found him guilty of murder and 1 additional count of robbery. He was sentenced to 55 years for the murder, 30 years for aggravated robbery, and 26 years combined for 2 other robbery charges, all to be served concurrently. In March 2025, Tay-K faced trial for a second murder related to the 2017 killing of Mark Saldivar. He was found guilty and received a sentence of 80 years, which will run concurrently with his previous sentence. YNW Melly, 2019 case. Jamel Demons, known as YNW Melly, ran into serious legal trouble just as his career was taking off. A month before his arrest, he dropped the mixtape We All Shine featuring Kanye West, and his eerie 2017 single Murder on My Mind had just gone gold. In February 2019, Melly was arrested and charged with double murder. Authorities allege that he and fellow rapper YNW Bortlin killed two of their close friends and staged the crime scene to look like a drive-by shooting. On Instagram, Melly insisted he was innocent. Unfortunately, a lot of rumors and lies are being said, but no worries, God is with me. The post was later deleted. Investigators pointed to phone records that allegedly placed Melly at the scene of the crime. In June 2023, YNW Melly went to trial in Florida and pleaded not guilty. However, in July, the retrial was canceled. As of now, Melly remains in jail, awaiting a new trial set to begin in September 2025.
There's no law nor statute that says, or rule that says we can't come back and argue for his release after a year and a half of what's been going on.
OMB Bloodbath, 2017 case.
Just give me a reason and you'll see them shots rain.
Alexandra Nix, known as OMB Bloodbath, is accused of helping orchestrate the murder of a rival gang member in October 2017. At the time, she was allegedly a member of both the 100% Third Ward and 103 gangs. Prosecutors claim she directed and controlled the killing through phone calls with gang members, calls that were lawfully intercepted and recorded by federal authorities. OMB Bloodbath was arrested in 2020 and remains in custody, awaiting final sentencing. However, that didn't stop her from moving forward with her career. In 2022, she signed a deal with Love Renaissance through Interscope Records and released a mini album titled Remedies to Infinity. Alexandra Nix is scheduled to stand trial on July 7, 2025, on charges of aiding and abetting violent crimes in furtherance of racketeering. Foogiano, 2020 case. Kwame Brown, known as Foogiano, rose to fame with his hit track, Molly.
$100 million phone. They hit my jack, they say they need the strong.
In 2020, he was arrested in Barrow County, Georgia, for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, a violation of the terms of his probation from a prior burglary conviction. He was released on $50,000 bail, but shortly afterward, he cut off his court-ordered ankle monitor and disappeared. On May 3, 2021, a Georgia judge sentenced Foogiano to 5 years in prison after the rapper admitted to removing the GPS device from his ankle. Abdul Arab West, 2018 case.
I'ma do the dishes, my roll to the rich.
Philadelphia rapper Abdul Arab West was arrested in October 2018 and charged with running a local drug trafficking organization under the guise of his record label, Original Block Hustlers, OBH. Prosecutors also connected OBH to at least one murder of a rival drug dealer. In April 2021, Arab was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. You could have been a hero instead of a criminal, U.S. District Judge Michael Balenciagas told him during sentencing. But you became a drug dealer. You made that decision. That's why you're being punished. Mystikal, 2022 arrest. Michael Lawrence Tyler, known as Mystikal, was arrested again in 2022 on new rape charges, despite already serving time in the past and being registered as a sex offender. The case began when a woman reported that she was raped in Tyler's home. According to Mystikal, the woman had allegedly stolen $100 from him. She told authorities that, in an effort to calm him, she began searching the house for the missing money. Instead, He raped her, then forced her to send money to his account, claiming it was what she had stolen, and let her leave. She went straight to the hospital, where the assault was documented. During a search of Tyler's home, authorities found multiple drugs, including methamphetamine, marijuana, Xanax, and heroin, leading to additional drug charges. Although Mystikal maintained his innocence for nearly 3 years, his trial began on May 19, 2025. Kaalan Walker, aka KR, 2016 case. Kaalan Walker, known as KR, was first arrested in 2018 and charged with a series of sexual assaults involving 4 aspiring models he had contacted through social media, promising them work opportunities. The incidents dated back to 2016. Just a month after his arrest, Walker was released on $1 million bail. But in March 2019, he was arrested again as 6 more victims came forward. Oddly enough, in November 2020, his bail was reduced, despite the growing number of accusers. Ultimately, in October 2022, Kaalan Walker was convicted and sentenced to 50 years in prison. Tory Lanez, 2020 case. Daystar Peterson, known as Tory Lanez, was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2022 after being found guilty of shooting rapper Megan Thee Stallion, real name Megan Pete, in the foot during an argument.
Bitch, I'm in a competition with it's me. Hoes taking shots.
The incident took place after they left a party at Kylie Jenner's home on July 12, 2020. Megan required surgery to remove bullet fragments from her foot.
So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, dance, bitch. And he started shooting. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like he shot a couple of times. And I was so scared.
So is he in the car shooting from the car, Megan?
He is standing up over the window shooting.
Prosecutors sought 13 years, citing the seriousness of the offense and his behavior afterward. Meanwhile, Lanez's legal team asked for probation and inpatient rehab, claiming his alcoholism stemmed from childhood trauma. They also filed for release on bail, but all requests were denied. Lanez maintained his innocence, but after being convicted in December 2022, he made a somewhat ambiguous statement during sentencing. That night was a night that everyone was drunk. I said some very immature things. If I could turn back the series of events, I would, but I can't. I did wrong that night and I take full responsibility and culpability for it. Later, however, in an Instagram post, he seemed to walk that back. In no way, shape, or form was I apologizing for the charges I'm being wrongfully convicted of. I remain on the stance that I refuse to apologize for something that I did not do. Despite being incarcerated, Lanez has continued his music career. His song, Wish I Never Met You, Prison Tapes, charted on Billboard. Commenting on the case, prosecutors said, "Over the past 3 years, Mr. Peterson has engaged in a pattern of conduct intended to intimidate Ms. Pete and silence her truth. Women, especially black women, are afraid to report crimes like assault because they are too often not believed." Glokknine, 2020 case. Jaquavius Smith, known as Glokknine, is a rapper known for tracks like 10%, 223s with YNW Melly, and 1 Minute. In August 2018, he reportedly signed a $2 million deal with Cash Money Records. His legal troubles began as early as 2015, involving multiple charges including illegal possession of firearms and drugs, and firing weapons. In October 2020, he was arrested again, this time for carrying a concealed firearm and for a shooting at the mall at Millennia in Orlando. Authorities also revealed that Smith fraudulently applied for and received $10,000 from the Federal Paycheck Protection Program. In addition, he faced a second-degree attempted murder charge after allegedly firing a gun into a home in Orlando in July 2020. In July 2021, Glokknine pleaded guilty. By December, he was sentenced to over 7 years in federal prison and ordered to pay $10,416 in restitution. Following his release, he will serve 3 years of supervised release and undergo substance abuse treatment. Pooh Shiesty, 2020 case. Lontrell Williams, known as Pooh Shiesty, was sentenced in 2022 to over 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent crimes. The charges stem from a shooting in Miami in October 2020, where he was caught on camera during a gunfight in the parking lot of a residential complex. He was initially released on bail. In June 2021, Pooh Shiesty was arrested again, this time for allegedly being involved in another shooting at a Miami strip club where he was performing. Following the second arrest, federal agents reinstated charges from the earlier incident, and his bail was revoked. Though he originally pleaded not guilty, he reversed his plea in 2021 after the second arrest. He also posted defiantly on Instagram, "I still remain untouched and unwittable. Still talking my shit like I'm 8'3", still popping king shit, still having my way like king, eating like a king and thinking like a winner. Ain't shot changed, but how my clothes get washed and how the doors get unlocked." With time served credited, Pooh Shiesty became eligible for release after 3.5 years. The tentative date of his release from prison is April 2026. Kid Creole, 2017 case. Nathaniel Glover, known as Kid Creole, was a member of the pioneering hip-hop group Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Mind blind to the ways of mankind.
Although his music career had long faded by the time of the incident, he had made a significant impact on early hip-hop history as part of the Furious Five. So what did this man do to get 16 years in prison? In 2017, a homeless man named John Jolly was stabbed to death, twice in the chest with a steak knife. Glover was allegedly enraged because, according to his attorney, he believed Jolly was gay and hitting on him. The judge rejected Glover's claims of self-defense. "You didn't know him," she told him in court. "You didn't know that he had a history of violence or was a sexual offender. Those things were not known and don't have much relevance in terms of anybody's action in this case." In 2022, Glover was convicted of manslaughter for the killing of the homeless man. "A life is a life, whether the person is homeless, whether the person is a CEO," said Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Michelle Rodney. Fetty Wap, 2019 case. Willie Jr. Maxwell II, known as Fetty Wap, is a rapper who rose to fame with his hit Trap Queen, an ode to a romantic partner involved in drug dealing. In October 2021, he was arrested and charged alongside 5 co-defendants in a conspiracy to traffic over 100 kilograms of heroin, fentanyl, and crack cocaine from the West Coast to Long Island between June 2019 and June 2020. The operation allegedly involved the use of the U.S. Postal Service and hidden vehicle compartments to transport the drugs to the East Coast, where they were stored and sold. In August 2022, Fetty Wap was taken back into custody after a judge revoked his $500,000 bond. This came after he allegedly brandished a firearm and threatened to kill someone during a FaceTime call in 2021, a violation of his pre-trial release conditions. Fetty Wap pled guilty to the primary charge of drug distribution, which spared him from facing a potential life sentence. In 2023, he was sentenced to 6 years in prison for participating in the drug trafficking conspiracy. His attorney, Elizabeth Macedonio, perhaps a stand-up comedian in another life, argued that Mr. Maxwell was supporting numerous family members and children and needed money after the pandemic shut down live entertainment. The rapper expressed remorse for his actions. "I hurt my community, people who look up to me," he said, "my family, and myself. I am truly sorry for any pain I caused." Lul G, 2019 case.
When I slide, bitches game time, touch the wrong chain.
George Harris, known as Lul G, was charged with first-degree murder after being arrested in September 2019 for his involvement in the killing of a man named Flowers on July 24, 2019. The rapper and several others had gathered at Flowers' home, reportedly for a music video shoot. Witnesses stated that the men started gambling, during which Lul G lost money to Flowers and was using cocaine while playing dice. An argument broke out and nearly escalated into a physical fight when Lul G pulled out a gun and shot Flowers in the abdomen. A witness later drove Flowers to a nearby hospital, where he died from his injuries. Initially, Lul G pleaded not guilty.
If I can get a nigga found, but I'ma do it myself.
But just before sentencing, he changed his plea to guilty. This allowed him to avoid a jury trial and the possibility of a first-degree murder conviction, which could have carried a sentence of 25 years to life. In May 2023, the rapper was sentenced to 21 years in prison. Casanova, 2020 case. Caswell Sr., known as Casanova, was once signed to Jay-Z's label Roc Nation. He was one of 18 men indicted in 2020 for their alleged involvement in the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang, which prosecutors say committed horrific acts of violence across the New York region. Casanova was sentenced to more than 15 years in prison on racketeering and drug distribution charges related to his gang activities. Caswell Sr. is not just a notorious recording artist, but he is also a high-profile leader of a vicious street gang and a magnet for gang violence, said U.S. Attorney Damian Williams after sentencing. He added that Casanova's fame helped the gang recruit members and expand across the country. Tsu Surf, 2017 case. Rajan Cox, known as Tsu Surf, was sentenced to 5 years in prison without the possibility of early release for participating in a racketeering conspiracy and possessing a firearm. He was also given 3 years of supervised release and fined $15,000. Tsu Surf pleaded guilty to all charges. From 2015 through September 22, 2022, Cox was a member of the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips, a criminal enterprise responsible for acts of violence and the distribution of controlled substances in New Jersey and elsewhere, reads the press release. Cox held a leadership role within the enterprise. On March 18, 2017, Cox shot a firearm at a gang rival. Despite the case being initiated in 2017, the court announced the sentence in 2023, so the rapper's tentative release date is 2028. K-Flock, case from 2021. When he signed with Capitol Records, the music industry buzzed with talk of limitless career potential for Bronx rapper Kevin Perez, known as K-Flock. That all came to a halt on December 16, 2021. Near a barbershop in New York, Oscar Hernandez was shot and killed during a shootout. What began as a shooting that Flock's lawyer described as self-defense evolved into much more than a single charge. Since his arrest, the case has been frequently postponed, and during that time, federal authorities built a much more serious case than initially expected. In late February 2023, just over 2 years after the rapper turned himself in, Flock was indicted on RICO charges. Authorities accused the rapper and 7 others of running the Sev Side/DOA gang based in the Bronx. In March 2025, K. Flock stood trial for charges including unlawful killing and murder. He was ultimately acquitted of those charges. However, he was found guilty of racketeering conspiracy, use of a firearm resulting in death, attempted murder and assault with a dangerous weapon in aid of racketeering, and using a firearm in connection with those violent crimes. He is scheduled to be sentenced on July 16, 2025. Unfunk, case from 2022. Quantavious Greer, brother of rapper Young Thug, known as Unfunk, was sentenced to 9.5 years in prison in 2023 for violating the terms of his probation. Initially, Unfunk was among 26 YSL members, including his brother Young Thug, who were arrested on RICO charges in Atlanta on May 9, 2022. In December 2022, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to violate the RICO Act and theft by receiving stolen property, agreeing to a plea deal in exchange for his release. 5 months later, he was arrested during a traffic stop after police found a gun in his vehicle, which violated the terms of his plea agreement. HoneyKomb Brazy, arrested in 2023. At the end of 2023, HoneyKomb Brazy was arrested along with his security guard during a traffic stop on I-65 in Mobile, Alabama. Multiple firearms were found in the vehicle, and both were charged with possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, as well as possession of a controlled substance. The rapper was not legally allowed to possess firearms due to 4 prior felony convictions that disqualify him: a 2013 conviction for first-degree robbery and first-degree assault, a 2019 conviction for unlawful possession of a firearm, and a 2021 conviction for marijuana possession.
You ain't been, your name don't end with Franklin. How fuck you my twin?
In the summer of 2024, the rapper pleaded guilty, which significantly eased his sentencing prospects. Brazy's attorneys and prosecutors agreed to jointly recommend a sentence ranging from 2.5 to 3.5 years in prison. In February 2025, he was sentenced to 30 months in prison, with credit for time served since the end of 2023. Bankroll Freddie, arrested in 2024. Arkansas rapper Freddie, Bankroll Freddie, Glokknine, was originally arrested in 2022 and charged with conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute marijuana and possession of firearms in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. Glokknine was pulled over by an Arkansas state trooper for speeding. During the stop, the officer smelled marijuana coming from the vehicle and asked Glokknine to step out. A search of the vehicle revealed multiple firearms and a duffel bag containing 21.4 pounds of high-grade marijuana and $33,000 in cash. In April 2024, Freddie was found guilty and sentenced to 12.5 years in prison. Lil Durk, 2022 case.
All my life.
Due to a murder-for-hire case stemming from 2022, Lil Durk was arrested in 2024. Federal authorities accused the rapper of placing a bounty on Quando as revenge for the death of Durk's artist, King Von, who was shot and killed by Quando's associate, Timothy Lul Tim Leaks, following a fight outside a lounge in Atlanta in November 2020.
You walked up to King Von to dap him up. Can you take us through that night?
I don't even remember that night. That was so long ago. You know how that go. That was, man, I don't even remember 2 months ago.
At the time of Lil Durk's arrest, 5 Chicago men allegedly affiliated with his Only the Family collective were also arrested and charged in connection with a murder that occurred at a gas station in Los Angeles. Authorities claim Lil Durk financed the attempted hit using funds from his record label and even flew to Los Angeles on a private jet with one of the suspects the night before the shooting. The rapper was arrested on his way to the airport to catch a flight to Italy. After his arrest, 2 additional charges were brought against him, and he now faces the possibility of a life sentence. Dougie B, 2024 case. Arian Howard, known as Dougie B, and 4 of his friends robbed a 33-year-old man and his 5-year-old son at gunpoint in an apartment during the summer of 2024. They were not arrested until September, after committing another robbery in which they threatened the victim with a knife and stole $500 from the man's digital wallet. The rapper was denied bail, and if convicted, he faces up to 25 years in prison. Blueface, sentenced in 2024. Jonathan Porter, known as Blueface, was sentenced to 4 years in prison in 2024. Since he had already served 400 days, his sentence was reduced to 3 years. However, this sentence could have been served on probation, but the rapper showed no concern. So, what earned him probation initially, and why did he end up behind bars? In 2021, the rapper assaulted a security guard at a lounge in North Hollywood. His manager, Whack 100, revealed that over the past few years, he had managed to secure probation for Blue. But after the rapper was caught with drugs, the judge was forced to impose the maximum sentence. Following this, he faced additional charges. Blueface was arrested for robbery on June 8, 2023, in Las Vegas, accused of taking a woman's cell phone at the Palms Casino on May 29th. He was also charged with attempted murder in a separate incident that occurred in October 2022. In August 2024, he was sentenced to 4 years in prison for violating the terms of his probation in connection to the 2022 Las Vegas shooting case. Rumors suggest he could be released as early as June or July 2025. YFN Lucci, case from 2021. Rayshawn Bennett, known as YFN Lucci, turned himself in to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office in January 2021 on charges of murder, gang activity, and racketeering in Atlanta, along with 11 other individuals. In January 2024, after a lengthy legal process, Bennett pleaded guilty to violating Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. As part of his plea deal, 12 out of 13 charges against Lucci were dropped, cluing a malice murder charge that carried a potential life sentence. That charge was connected to the 2020 killing of rival gang member James Adams in Atlanta. As a result, the rapper will serve 10 years in prison and another 10 years on probation. FTO Sett, case from 2022. FTO Sett, signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 global music label and cousin of rapper Pooh Shiesty, had a warrant issued for his arrest in early 2024. The bond that had allowed his release in 2022, when he faced multiple charges including drug and firearm possession and evading arrest, was revoked. On November 1st, he was arrested again at an Airbnb in Nashville on an outstanding warrant. He is now facing charges of attempted murder, firearm possession, aggravated assault, theft, and drug possession. It is unclear whether all of these charges are connected. Diddy, arrested in 2024. After numerous lawsuits were filed against Diddy in late 2023 and early 2024 accusing him of verbal, physical, and sexual abuse, agents from the Department of Homeland Security conducted raids on Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles as part of a human trafficking investigation in March 2024. Despite ongoing speculation, he was ultimately arrested in September 2024. He was denied bail and, of course, denies all charges. If Diddy's case is fully prosecuted, he faces the possibility of life imprisonment. It seems the time has come for Diddy to pay for his actions. Lil Reese. Case started in 2022. Tavares Lamont Taylor, known as Lil Reese, was arrested in March 2022 on charges of aggravated assault against a family member. The alleged victim is Kamani, with whom he shares a young daughter named Kyrie. He attacked his then-girlfriend, hitting her in the face and choking her while she was gasping for air. Reese's girlfriend told police they had a serious argument that escalated into physical violence. She claims he punched her, pulled her hair, and injured her lower lip. 2 months after a warrant was issued, Reese was apprehended on May 29th and later released on $10,000 bail.
So what's the hardest part about being in there?
Not being able to do what you want to do and shit, like not being able to call your people when you want to call them. Got to call collect all day. You get tired of that shit. Watch basic cable all day. This small ass TV, like 15 inches.
Damn.
You get tired of that shit.
How big is the cell?
In certain cells, like when I was on the 6th floor, I had a one-man cell. That cell was real small. It wasn't no bigger than, how could I say this? Like
a large closet?
Like from right here?
Yeah.
From where you at to right where I'm at, that's how big the cell was.
On July 15th, 2024, he was arrested again following a woman's allegation that the rapper sexually assaulted her after a date in downtown Los Angeles. According to reports, rapper Boogie Badazz was allegedly a witness. However, the case was dropped 10 days later due to insufficient evidence. In September, Reese was arrested for assaulting the same woman at the Pink House nightclub in Houston, where he reportedly struck her multiple times after she rejected his advances. In October 2024, he was found guilty of aggravated assault and sentenced to 5 years in prison. His scheduled release date is February 6th, 2029, with eligibility for parole in August 2026. Fivio Foreign, arrested in 2025. Fivio Foreign, real name Maxie Lee Riles III, gained popularity in 2019 with the release of his single Big Drip, which became a viral hit and elevated his career to a new level of recognition, leading to collaborations with Quavo, Drake, Lil Baby, and many others.
I bought it with me, I ain't leaving mine.
Fivio was arrested on January 18th, 2025, on multiple charges related to an incident where, according to police, he threatened a woman with a gun in Edgewater, New Jersey. The woman claims she asked Fivio to help start her car, after which the Brooklyn rapper pointed a gun at her and said, "If I see you parked in front of this building again, there's gonna be a problem." Initially, despite police having witnesses and surveillance footage supporting the woman's statements, Fivio's lawyer considered the case to be false and expected his client to be released soon. Since then, Fivio has been held in a New Jersey jail on 4 charges related to weapons possession. Fivio ultimately decided to plead guilty to 1 count of third-degree terroristic threats in exchange for the New Jersey state, dropping 4 firearm-related charges, which also included aggravated assault and unlawful possession of a weapon. The plea deal also stipulates that the state will seek probation at sentencing. The sentencing hearing is scheduled for August 2nd, but it was agreed that if all parties are ready, the court may hold the hearing earlier. Quando Rondo, case from 2023. Tikwian Bowman, known as Quando Rondo, was first arrested in 2023 and charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to violate Georgia's controlled substances law, 1 count of participating in criminal activity related to a street gang, and 1 count of unlawful use of a mobile phone to facilitate drug trafficking. In June 2024, he reached a plea agreement and pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of conspiracy to distribute and possess drugs. He is sentenced to serve 33 months in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Bowman also has to pay a $40,000 fine.
Did the wrong thing, and I'm getting punished for it, so I want y'all to know that you actually get punished for doing wrong things. Just do the right thing.
Under the plea deal, prosecutors dropped the more serious charge of conspiracy to possess and distribute amphetamine, cocaine, fentanyl, and marijuana. Had he been convicted on that charge, Bowman faced up to 20 years in prison. Thus, on January 10th, 2025, the rapper began serving his 33-month prison sentence. His current release date is listed as April 20th, 2027. The tragedy is that these guys could be inspiring fans with positive actions and great rap music while free, not from behind bars. But unfortunately, things are going the way they are, and it seems impossible to stop for now. True hip-hop fans really hope this sad trend will change. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell. You can also write a comment in the comment section down below. See you later on the Top Art Legends.